This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Chris Hassan has a great question that we've never touched on before. Do you believe Ole should have been inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame with the rest of the Horsemen? If so, did you feel strongly enough to make your opinions known?
Well, when we found out right away that when they called Ole and I think told him they would like to put him in, he refused. So that really doesn't give you a lot of leverage or anywhere to go with that.
Is it?
I'm certainly not going to stand up and go in Vince's office and go, no, wait a minute here. I feel pretty strongly we should make this happen. You know, if the guy, told him, forget it, I'm sure he meant forget it.
Why do you think that all went the way it did? I mean, the rumor and innuendo, and you probably know better than most, allegedly when he's trying to come and buy the Georgia territory and eventually, does a deal with the Briscoes, and Ole's not thrilled about that. When McMahon comes to visit, things were very rocky to say the least. And the rumor, I believe, is as Vince goes to introduce himself to Ole, he says, fuck you. And then he says, well, Ole, I'd like for you to meet my wife. This is Linda. And allegedly Ole says, fuck her too. Did you hear this story where he's motherfucking every McMahon in sight?
Yeah. And I'm not going to say it's not true. I'm not going to say it's true. Does Ole have the mentality to do that? Yeah. Had that been me standing there with my wife, one way or the other, we'd had to been in a hell of a fight. That's just the way it is. So, I don't know if it's true or not. It sounds like it possibly could be. I know that it was in an era where Ole still felt like the NWA was going to circle the wagons and fight this guy, that he was the enemy, he being Vince McMahon of WWF. And as it turned out, they didn't circle the wagons. And, the Briscoes sold their points and all that, which gave Vince controlling interest. And everyone pretty much knows that story. He took the TV show for a while. Before he decided that it was a bad business move, and Ole got back a hold of it, but the TV had really took a hit. So there were some pretty serious business allegations that were going on at that time.
Jay Stovall writes in, hypothetically, if Carl Anderson from the club came to you and officially wanted to join the Anderson family, would you endorse it?
Well, sure. He's as much an Anderson as I am. He chose to take that name. Our paths have never crossed. I talked to C.W. Anderson, who just a short time back, Winston-Salem at the big event that they had there. WrestleCade, yeah. And we talked about that, and he was so genuine. And after all these years, we had one other conversation, a short one about him being an Anderson. And I probably said something, I think it was positive, but it was probably shorter than the answer that he deserved. And he came to me again and said, hey, I've made a career out of being an Anderson. I hope this has been okay with you. My understanding, and I haven't seen him wrestle, believe it or not, but is that he's a good hand, and Absolutely. He's a credit to the Anderson family. And, same thing with Carl, very good wrestler, The only real Anderson, the only legitimate one that should have a bitch or a gripe is Gene. And if there was anybody to make that call on who was going to be an Anderson following him, he would have been the one to ask. But, it's like, as long as a person is gifted with such a strong gimmick, and even though I'm one, I'm going to just go ahead and say it. The Anderson family has excelled throughout the history of this business. And if you add to that legacy, excellent. Just don't be one guy that's going to pull the name down, do anything negative to make that Anderson name mean what it is meant, because none of us have that right. We owe it to Gene to make him proud of every Anderson that's came following him.
Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future clips that we upload. We hope we made you laugh, and we hope we can save you some money right now at SaveWithConrad.com.